Hi, I'm Pink142, aka Taylor, and I apologize for it not being so bright in here. Apparently, I think it's supposed to rain in Tulsa, and it's like really cloudy outside, so all I have is like my light right here, so I apologize for that. But sorry, I apologize for that as well. Before I begin, I want to announce something. So when I hit 13,000 views, total views on every single for 13,000 total views, I forgot to mention that I had mentioned it. That I forgot to mention in a video or a stream that I had hit 13,000 views, total views. I just recently checked the other day, and I found out that I just hit over 14,000 views. So thank you for those views. Thank you for the people that have been watching my videos, and thank you to the subscribers that I have. I only have 20, which doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, that's a lot because I didn't think a girl from Tulsa who doesn't look like a supermodel, doesn't look gorgeous or beautiful, could get that many subscribers. So thank you to the people that are subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell because you'll get some awesomeness if you do. So let's begin with what I was going to talk about today, which is my favorite game genres. Yeah, my favorite gaming genres. I have been gaming since I was a kid. I used to play video games with my cousins and my sister over at my grandma and my mom's stepdad's house. And we would play so many different games. They had Super Nintendo, N64, and a GameCube. And apparently at one point in time they had an NES, which I did not know about. It sucks when you're born in the later 90s and stuff like the NES breaks or something happens along the way, but that's just how it happened. So I want to talk about. I apologize. I was looking at something. I want to talk about my the first gaming genre I want to talk about that I love is fighting games. Now, I've been a fan of fighting games for quite some time now. I've played quite a few of the WWE, WWF franchise. Like I've played some of those games, and I've enjoyed every single one of them that I've played. I love that whole franchise. I think THQ and even the ones that are making it now. I don't know. 2K, I think 2K is making it now. I don't know who's making the new WWE games, but the ones that have been making them and the ones that are making them now have been doing a great job with it. And I can't wait until I get a Switch so I can get uh, WWE 18, so I can get 2018. I can get that game and play that game because I absolutely love that franchise. I think they've done an amazing job. And like I said, I love fighting games. I love WWE, WWF franchise. I love Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers is what is probably my favorite series that Nintendo has ever came out with, and they've done a great job. I don't know, like I don't know, like I didn't. Well, how do I put it? They Lil did the creators of the original Super Smash Brothers know that this game was going to impact so many gamers and was going to be such a big success for them because the only thing that's keeping really Nintendo afloat is Super Smash Brothers. That's the only thing that's really keeping them afloat. If they didn't have Super Smash Brothers, they would be plummeting down. It's Super Smash Brothers and Legend of Zelda that are actually keeping them afloat. I mean, there are a bunch of like Mario fans like myself that that have been fans that still play Mario games, but really, really, it all comes down to Legend of Zelda and Super Smash Brothers that are keeping Nintendo alive, along with their handheld devices. Nintendo has been great with handhelds. I don't know what it is, but they perfected the handheld. They perfected the handhelds, and they've always been the best in that market. No one can beat Nintendo in the handheld market, and that's what makes them so great. It's what's kept them afloat for so many years. But I love the Super Smash Brothers uh, franchise. My favorite game of all time is actually Super Smash Brothers Melee, and I would play that game all the time with my sister and my cousins, and we had so much fun playing that game. The next genre in my list is one it's very specific. There are certain genres, certain like the fighting games. Fighting games. I love fighting games, but it's not like I prefer beat 'em ups more than anything else. No, I love the whole genre. I love the genre as a whole. But this genre, next genre I'm talking about is one I like two specifics in this genre, and that's racing. I love racing games, but they have to be either an arcade racing game or they have to be a kart racing game like Mario Kart, or they have to be. There was one for the N64. They also did an arcade version of it of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, and I played the N64 version, and I loved that game. I mean, I love racing games, but I don't like realistic racing games like Forza and NASCAR. I'm not into those type of games because I don't know what it is. I like the arcade racing games because you play them, and they're kind of, it's hard to explain, but you play them, and like if you knock down a signpost, you don't wreck your car. You don't wreck the car. The signpost just falls down flat. I think that's amazing, and like the graphics when you run into something, it just falls flat unless it's a car. And I love that. I love that. I've always been a fan of the arcade racing games. And I love kart racers. I love like Mario Kart with the power ups because I'm that troll that keeps their green shells and red shells. Not as blockers. Not as blockers. I don't use them for blocking. Sometimes they do block, and I get mad when they block, when it's used as a blocker. I prefer to use them as a defensive strategy, meaning if you try to pass me, I will get right next to you and I will hit you with one of the shells, whether it's a green shell or a red shell, or and even if it's not the three shells, if it's just one shell, I still keep it, especially if it's like a blue shell. I might throw a blue shell, but like most of the time I like to keep the shells and use them to as a defensive strategy. I also do that with the bananas as well. If I get like a whole row of bananas, I keep those. I don't even throw them. I don't even get rid of them. I keep them that way. If you try to pass me, you get hit with bananas. And I do the same thing with uh, the fake power up box. I don't know what it's called. I do the exact same thing with that too. I hold on to that. So if you come in, you try to get me. If you try to get me, uh, doesn't matter what you do. If you try to pass me, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit either way. And I love doing that. I'm that troll. And actually, funny story about that. I started doing that, and then my cousins caught on to it, and they're like, "That's an interesting strategy. I'm gonna start doing that." So they started doing it. So I started like a trend in my family with that. But I love like racing games with power ups. I love the arcade racing games. I can't get into the real racing games. I don't see any appeal to them. If I'm gonna go driving, I'm gonna get grab my what either my mom's key or my dad's key because I don't have a car. I have my license but no car. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna take one of their keys and I'm gonna just go drive. If I want to do that, I'm gonna do that. I don't want to play a game that's too realistic. That's why I don't really like the sports games that much. I mean, I have one that's for the Wii. It's called 09 All Play. I love that game because it's not you're not actually using real players. There aren't real players like in the NHL games, the Madden games, the FIFA games. Those all have real players. I don't I can't get into those. But I love like the arcade and kart racing games. Those are so much fun. Uh my next choice, I actually only have three favorite genres, so I'm going to have do a kind of a dishonorable mention ones that I'm not into. One of them is puzzle games. I've never really been into puzzle games. My dad got what it was called last year. It was called for the Wii, and it was called Marble Saga, something like that. And it was like this puzzle game where you have to get like you play as a marble and you have to get like all the way you have to collect like these gems or something and then in order to get to the finish. And it's like super difficult. You have to really think about what you're doing. It's almost like a strategy game, a strategy puzzle game. And I can't play that game because I I played it before my dad did, even though he got it. Even though he bought it, I played it before he did, just to see what it was like. And it gave me a headache. It gave me motion sickness. That's why I don't like playing certain puzzle games. I'll play like Bejeweled, I'll play Tetris, I'll play Dr. Mario. Those are fine. But if it's like that Marble Saga game where it's like a lot of motion, a lot of stuff using motion, I can't do it. I don't know what it is, but it just gives me motion sickness. I also mentioned earlier about uh, I don't know what I forgot what I was gonna say. I also don't like stealth games because I there's just something about it. I don't know what it is, but it's just I feel like if I was doing this in real life, I would get caught. And I feel like when I play, if I was to play, I've never played a stealth game because I know I'm gonna get caught if I do play them. So that's why I don't play them. But I just can't get into that genre. It's just something that like I'm not into. Uh, uh, there's like a couple more, and I can't think of like. There's like one more, and I had it, and I forgot what it was. But I don't like. But I don't like stealth games. I don't like puzzle games. I don't. Oh yeah, sports games. I mentioned sports games. I don't like sports games unless it's my NCAA football 09 all play. I can't get into those realistic sports games. I don't know what it is. I just feel like if I'm going to go out and play, if I wanted to play soccer, I would go outside and play soccer. I play video games to escape sports, to escape life. I don't play video. I don't want to play those type of games. And plus, I don't like watching soccer. I don't watch soccer. I did watch it a little bit when the women won the World Cup, which was Abby Wambach's last year when it was her last year as a professional soccer player. When I did watch that a little bit, but I'm not into soccer. Not into soccer. I can't watch it. I can't watch hockey. I'm not into hockey. I can't watch NFL or NBA, like, because I'm not into. I like with the NFL, I don't like watching the NFL because I'm more of a college football person. I love watching college football. Go Sooners! But I I love watching college football, but I can't watch uh, pro football. And the reason why is because with college football, the rivalries are more personal. There's more rivalries in college football, and they're like the rivals and the rivalries that come with college football. With with NFL, it's like who are the Packers? Who are their rivals? Oh, it's not the Vikings. The Vikings aren't their rivals. No, no, their rivals are the Broncos. Their rivals are the Broncos. Oh, but the Broncos aren't even right by them. Like the Broncos are in Denver, and the Packers are in Green Bay. Colorado and Wisconsin aren't even that close to one another. At least with college football, like OU, like University of Oklahoma, our rival is Texas and uh, and Oklahoma State. Those are our two biggest rivals. I mean, pretty much every single uh, school in our conference is our rival, but those are our two biggest rivals. We used to be rivals with Nebraska until they left our conference. When they left our conference, we weren't rivals anymore, but that's just how it was. But with the NFL, you don't know who their rivals are. And then I don't like watching the NBA because I don't like what unless it's the Thunder. I'll watch Thunder play because I like the Oklahoma City Thunder. Go Thunder! I'm rooting for you guys this year. Hopefully, you guys bring home a championship. But I'm not a huge fan of basketball. Like watching basketball, I'd rather play basketball than watch it. And so I'm not into sports games. And finally, this one's going to get a lot of people mad, but both me and my mom's stepdad, we both hate this genre. Like, we both don't like this genre, and that is FPS games, first person shooter games. My mom's stepdad, he almost beat Ocarina of Time. He almost beat that one for the N64. Almost beat it. But then he got to the end where he had to get on the horse and shoot arrows or whatnot, shoot something, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He can't play those games. He's not good at those games. Myself, on the other hand, I can't play those games either. I'm terrible at FPS games. I'm sick and tired of Call of Duty. I'm sick and tired of Halo. Come up with a new IP. Come up with, like, Nintendo came up with a whole new IP with the Wii U. When they came out with the Wii U, they came out with Splatoon, and look how popular Splatoon is. Splatoon's a shooter game, but it's not an FPS shooter game. It's not an FPS game. It's just a shooter, and it's fun. Come up with. I'm sick and tired of seeing Call of Duty games. I'm sick and tired of seeing those. I'm sick and tired of seeing Halo games. I'm sick and tired of seeing all these FPS games. And like I said with the puzzle games, like the one that my dad got, that some of those games give me motion sickness, and FPS games give me motion sickness. I get motion sickness every single time I play games like that. So that brings me on to my favorite. It's not necessarily my favorite genre, but it's one of my favorite genres, gaming genres, and that's platformers. I love platformers. More specifically, side-scrolling platformers. I love side-scrolling platformers. I hate the ones that aren't side-scrolling. Like, I hate just the 3D platformers. Unless it's a 3D side-scrolling, I'll play it. But if it's not 3D side-scrolling, I won't play it. Like, I got here recently, last year, a couple of years ago, I got Pitfall: The Big Adventure for the Wii. I got that game because I loved Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure for the Super NES. I loved that game. But I played the one Pitfall: The Big Adventure for the Wii. I played it as soon as I got it. went home, started playing it. It gave me motion sickness. I hate that game so much. It gives me motion sickness. It's just a terrible game, and I can't play that game. I can't play. It has to be a side-scrolling platformer in order for me to play. Because if it's not, I will get motion sickness. The only game that I've ever played, the only platformer I've ever played that wasn't a side-scrolling platformer where I did not get motion sickness was Super Mario Sunshine. That was the only one. I played Super Mario 64, got motion sickness from it. I played Pitfall and Big Adventure, got motion sickness from it. I can't play those type of games, those 3D platformers, unless it's a 3D side-scrolling platformer. Because I get motion sickness if I play them. So, I love platformers, but more specifically side-scrolling platformers. Because I've played Super Mario Brothers, I've played Super Mario Brothers 2, played Super Mario Brothers 3, I played Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Pitfall, the Mayan Adventure played all of those games, and I love those games because they're platformers, they're side-scrolling platformers, and I feel like any game developer can make a side-scrolling platformer. They can make a platformer and be good. And like Nintendo perfected that with Mario. They perfected that with Mario. And I feel like there aren't a whole lot of platformers anymore. I mean, there have been a couple in the last like 5 years, but really nothing's really been out. Nothing's really like Limbo. I never played that game, but I heard that game was like amazing and it won so many awards. But I never played it. But it essentially was a platformer. But there's not very many platformers out now unless it's Mario. Mario's like the only platformer that's really out. So that's just how it is. Leave in the comments below what your favorite genre is, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And also, you want to hit that notification bell because on Monday I'm doing Star Trek versus Star Wars. I got the idea from my dad. He didn't tell me to do this idea because he doesn't know I make videos. But I got this idea from him because we got into an argument about who was better, Star Wars or Star Trek. So keep that in mind and come up with your opinions, and we'll talk about it on Monday. And also, a week from next Friday, I'm debating on whether or not to talk about my favorite Super NES games or do F, Marry, Kill. So leave in the comments below what you want to see me do. Do you want to see me do F, Marry, Kill, or do you want to hear me talk about Super NES? So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can get word of when I'm going to do an upload or a stream. Bye!